I don't know about you, but I do love it when I find information that corroborates what you already know to be true. Hey, it's Dr. Toker, your friendly neighborhood colorectal surgeon. And as you may know, I sit on the medical advisory board for a company called Superpatch. And Superpatch has created physical therapy devices that uses your skin as a conduit to communicate with your brain to normalize certain neurologic pathways. And I will admit there are some people who are like, oh, that's placebo effect, or oh, that's a hocus pocus. Now we've got plenty of double-blinded, placebo-controlled trials to show the effectiveness of this therapy device. Now, what I happen to love is when you get corroborating information, kind of that you didn't really expect to see in the literature. Now, this paper is 10 years old, and it seems a little shocked by some of the statements that the authors make. So the authors are self-shocked. They shock themselves because what they are publishing, what they think is unique, and maybe at the time it would have been considered such, but now we know, I mean, this is a true statement. Your brain is in charge of your own immune system, and that an immune system that is out of balance has a tendency to not behave properly. So if there's too much parasympathetic, then you get hyper immune function. If there's too much sympathetic, then you wind up immunosuppressing. This is why someone under stress, who's under a lot of sympathetic tone from stress of daily life, they're more prone to colds. Maybe they don't heal as well. And so in this paper, they describe that if you could voluntarily activate the sympathetic nervous system, then you can offset autoimmune inflammation. And so they did a study saying that basically they convinced people to stress themselves out. And what they recognized is that certain autoimmune responses were attenuated. In other words, they got better. Now, I am not suggesting that people stress themselves out to get out of inflammation. God knows I am under extraordinary amounts of stress and have a lot of inflammation in my life. But this is an independent corroboration that shows you can truly tap into the autonomic nervous system in order to control your own immunity. A normal immune response requires a normal neurologic pathway. It requires balance between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic pathways. Now, the Super Patch Company knows this, and they have a patch called the Defend patch, which puts the pathway responsible for your immune system in the normal zone, into homeostasis, to try to optimize your own immune response. I personally use this patch when I'm traveling to try to avoid getting sick from other passengers. I will use it to avoid getting DVTs in my legs. And while we don't have the independent studies to corroborate those two indications, so I'm not saying that they work in that way, I am saying that they normalize the body's ability to control the blood clotting pathway, and they normalize the body's ability to control the immune pathway. And there is outside corroborating evidence that if you can modulate these pathways, and you can voluntarily, you can achieve normalcy in immunity and that sort of thing. And so I find that paper fascinating. Our trials are still in the pending format, but it'll be interesting to see what we come up with. But there's corroborating evidence that modulating the brain's response to immunity actually can be done and can be successful.